Tanzania's government is on a mission to be self-sufficient in food production. To do this, it aims to create a reliable and sustainable supply of quality seeds. As it stands, the country has two types of seed systems. The formal system, which is market-oriented and is developed by the public and private sectors. There's also the community production system, which is based mainly on seed self-provisioning exchanges, and finally the informal market system. The president says she now wants to boost those systems further.
I want 3/4 of the seeds to be produced locally. That's if we fail to reach total self-reliance.
Certified.
The country needs over 120,000 tons of quality seeds annually. But according to the Ministry of Agriculture, Tanzania's capacity to produce quality seeds is only at 20%.
We are improving our research and development centers as well as our seed production farms at a high level. We are investing heavily there so as to produce high seed numbers.
The government says it has 17 public seed farms and over 50 privately owned farms. The aim is now to support both sectors. Certified seed is only for maize, sorghum, sunflowers, and to a lesser extent, wheat. For grain legumes, millets, cassava, and sweet potatoes, farmers rely on informal sources for their seeds. The Minister for Agriculture, Hussein Bashir, says seeds that are currently being produced have the ability to withstand climate change challenges. Since President Samia took office, she has doubled the government's budget for agriculture, reaching levels unseen since the country's independence, and is yielding results. According to data from the Bank of Tanzania and the Ministry of Agriculture, the country's recent agricultural output has far superseded the country's national output requirement. The government hopes to properly execute its plan so as to make Tanzania among major crop producers on the African continent.
So guys, welcome back to the channel where United Africa is an undisputed Africa. So here you see in Tanzania where the current president, she has doubled the amount of money they are putting in agriculture to have more seeds so they can replant and become food self-sufficient and don't have to depend on the West, or for instance Ukraine or the Russians or the Americans, because of the war recently and the blockade they have in the Black Sea with the passageway for the grains to travel to Africa. It causes food prices to go up. It causes the African countries that doesn't produce enough for the country, for the citizens, have to be buying from Russia or Ukraine, and then that causes food prices to rise because of scarcity, and then that translated to the citizens to spend way more money than necessary to feed their families, and that's strain on the economy and so on. So being self-sufficient food-wise is a very, very important task, and I've realized that more and more African countries are now realizing this, like Zimbabwe, Uganda. Uganda actually is one of the only African countries that have surplus in wheats and grains for the past year. That's as Ethiopia as well. Ethiopia have so much surplus in wheat they can supply African nations. And Zimbabwe is starting to double and triple the amount of food they produce, grains and seeds they produce annually. And now Tanzania is taking a step in the right direction, as this president is realizing that once you can be self-sufficient in food and grains, you cannot be bullied by no other country. Or if there's a next war, the country does not face starvation or face high inflation or the rise in prices. And Morocco had an earthquake recently, and the Moroccan king refused aid from France because what? Whenever time African countries accept and receive aid from any major country, it comes with things attached to it. It comes with, you have to give to get. Even though aid is supposed to be free and it's supposed to be assisting, no, there's always strings attached to aid. And that's why more and more African countries is now refusing aid from these countries, because they're using aid as a way to get to the government to release certain amenities that they would not get naturally. So more and more African presidents are realizing that the aid and the not only aid, the charity and these so-called Red Cross people and all these things that they're trying to do to bring it to Africa I'm doing something. Go inside and wait until I finish. So, I should get me messed up what I was doing again. Anyway, so let's continue. And that was my daughter just disturbed me a bit. So sorry about that. She's just 3 years old. Anyway, so brilliant move by the Tanzanian government and by specifically the Tanzanian president. So being food secure is very important to the continent of Africa, and without having that, there's no, even if you can't feed your citizens, there's no sense of you stand tall to big nation, because you're gonna feel it in the long run if they cut grains and stuff like that from and also what I'm really realizing too, African countries are now refusing GMO products, GMO seeds, which is good because what? When you accept GMO seeds, GMO for one, most GMO seeds do not produce seed. Can you have seedless melon, seedless grapes? Yeah, whenever you buy a GMO seed and then these said fruit that you're planting does not bear and bring back seeds for you to use, it's then you become dependent on the GMO people. So that's why more and more African countries as well is staying away from the GMO seed product, because it's a waste of time, and they're modifying, they're doing so much with these seeds that you cannot get anything back when you cannot get any seeds from these seeds whenever you plant them, because they don't produce no seed, that they produce way less seed than it would naturally produce. So that's also a good thing. No more GMOs for the African continent, and the Caribbean as well should try to start to stick to this refusing of GMO seed, because GMO is another way to control countries. When they accept GMO seeds and they only use GMO seeds, then they can tell you, okay, if you don't do this, if you don't give me this, you don't get any more seed. When you don't get any more seed, your citizens suffer, inflation rises, and then they blame the government, and that's what causes governments to lose power, and then they put in their own people who they want to put into power. So it's a whole manipulation comes with GMO seeds. So more and more African presidents are realizing this, taking heed, and they're starting to try to produce their own seeds and buy from other African countries, by signing trade deals. Ethiopia Ethiopia signed a few deals recently for trading with wheat to other African countries, which is a big deal. So anyway, let me know what you think about this, about the African continent finally coming to the realization that they need to produce on their own seeds and stay away from the GMO products. Thanks for watching. Boom.